but the letters continue coming in. I don't have any basis to know whether it's gone down or not at the Gazette. I haven't been there long enough, but we still get far more than we could ever print in print.
Is this true or false? I had heard once that the letters to the editor were the most read section of the newspaper, more so than comics. And
I don't know. All I can base are the neat thing about the internet is you can see what people are reading,
right.
At least in the online version. That doesn't necessarily speak for the print version, but it's an indicator. And I'm not seeing that online. I'm seeing that it is a highly read portion of the paper. But the Our View editorial gets far more readers every day than the letters do. There are exceptions to that.
Yeah,
Once in a while,
get at your mother hitting reload on the computer, right?
Yeah, there you
I understand.
go. Yeah. I have people out there.
I got my own people. Is there an art, if somebody wants it to get in print, what is it you want from them? Is it something that's outrageous, pithy, short is better, longer better?
There's no magic to it. Every day is different. Some days we're looking for longer, some days we're looking for shorter. We want clear, compelling, interesting arguments that are written in such a way that you have to put it in the newspaper.
You are so good at saying that. I have a vision that really what it is like. Crap. 10 minutes. Yeah, here. Put it down.
No. Well, that may be the case in other shops. We actually spend a lot of time. We have a letters editor who reads these things, who contacts letter writers and says, "This is unclear. Where'd you get the facts for this?" The other thing is we want them to be factual. We have this saying that you're entitled to your own opinion, but not your own facts, and you can't just throw things that you heard on the internet or whatever into a letter to the editor. So we vet those just like anything else that goes into the newspaper.
Gotta have a talk radio show. You can do anything like that. That's fine. It's not a problem. Advertisements. Now that the pages seem to be dwindling down, and I now know that Monday you only have one page, and now Tuesday you only have one page. And for me, the editorial section is the section of the paper. It's where I go first. I want to see that expanded. Has this newspaper crunch, the bankruptcy you've dealt with, the war with Rocky Mountain News and just newspapers in general, has it made it a better or worse product? I mean, it seems to be shrinking a little bit in most cases. Are we going to start seeing advertisements on these pages?
I think you could, and I think that's not a bad thing, because where you have advertising, you have financial support, and then it allows you to continue doing what you're doing. So a few years ago, I may have balked and gone crazy over the thought of advertising on these pages. I'm not there anymore, depending on what the ads are. I don't want a Jane Norton for Senator ad that's running on the same day we're endorsing whoever she's running against, or vice versa. You don't want that on your page. So you need to have some control over the content of the advertising, but I don't think it's such a bad thing, because you do want to continue doing what you do, and that comes through advertising.
I don't disagree. I wouldn't. Obviously, the concern is that what Dan just described, that you have someone on there, then it looks like they're influencing your opinion. My concern with it is that we've lost so much space, so much editorial space, and I know that a lot of newspapers throughout the country have. There just isn't really any room. We do have advertising on the editorial section of the online product, which is becoming more and more our central product, and it is growing by leaps and bounds. And that is a phenomenal product because it's interactive, and because it's not top down anymore. It's not the sort of ivory tower world that it used to be, where we speak, you listen, and that's it. It's both ways now, more than ever.
I wanted to add one thing to that, not just to promote my newspaper, but several months ago I asked our assistant to call around the country to some of the best newspapers and get their products so we can see what they're doing. And the space that we have available in Denver, the Denver Post, for editorial and op-eds is amazing. We have a Sunday Perspective section, 6 full pages without any advertising. I didn't see that anywhere in the country at the best regional newspapers. So right now we are blessed with space.
The front page graphic takes up about 2/3 of a page, and that saves some writing.
It's interesting. It's fun, and you want to read it.
Well, it is nice that the owner of the company lives here. This is his hometown paper, his flagship paper, and it shows something.
As much crap as I give Dean Singleton, he calls into my show. He's never backed off on anything. You can argue with him. He's an engaged character in this town.
The reason that I'm sitting here and not the editorial page editor of the Rocky Mountain News, although we did hire him as a columnist. But my point is, the reason that I'm still here as the Denver Post and the Rocky Mountain News is not here is because of Dean Singleton. Because he was invested in Denver and he wanted to have a newspaper in Colorado.
Scripps was not invested in Denver, even though I think they probably had the cash to win that battle if they really wanted. We've only a few minutes left. Help me understand how you guys choose the columns. I'm not talking about your local columnists that have their own bit of real estate, but and sometimes you have Kathleen Parker, then you have George Will, and then you have somebody else. Who makes that call? Because this stuff is just flowing into you, and if you subscribe to the service, Creators Syndicate or something, it's basically free. Who gets the call when you decide?
We get a tremendous amount of public input as to who people want to see, and I try to keep track of that as best I can. And when we start getting a huge demand for someone, I will subscribe and put them in. Basically, people like in Colorado Springs, they like the standard Charles Krauthammer, George Will, Thomas Sowell. They like their conservative old guard columnists. We added Michelle Malkin, which has been a tremendously controversial decision.
Because she lives there.
And she lives in Colorado Springs, and she goes and speaks to clubs in Colorado Springs. People see her around, and she's a very popular woman who's on TV a lot. And so, but she's also a very controversial figure, but she has a lot of readers. I know that she's one of the best read columnists in our paper, and that's really what I base on. Who do people want to read? Who's going to bring us the most traffic?
How do you choose?
It's a daily balancing act. Every day we try to pick the 4 best columns that are available. But also thinking about left and right, you want to get a good mix, and you also want to get a good mix of local, national, and men and women. Does it always work? No.
Men and women.
Some days you've got, a lot of times you
There's
have
affirmative
3
action
or
on
4 men
affirmative action
and
on the
0
editorial
women.
page.
Absolutely, because you want to see that. I want to see.
You just
and I
want
want
to look
the
at
newspaper
women.
to have diverse viewpoints out there, and sometimes they come from women, and sometimes they come from men. But most op-ed writers are white males, so you really have to work to diversify that page.
We're both running David Sirota, I noticed, these days, and he's also a local columnist. And I get as much flack for running David Sirota as I do for Michelle Malkin. She's kind of on the far right, he's on the far left, and they're they inflame people. And that seems to work, but it gets you in a lot of trouble, too.
Finish up on editorial cartoons. You used to have Chuck Assay, one of the greatest. Now you still pick him up. You have Keefe, still one of the greatest, but you also do this great thing on the weekends of name that tune or name the cartoon, and I tune in every week because I just love it. Are cartoonists gone?
They are a dwindling breed, but I think it's important to maintain local cartoonists because they write about local issues, and they're another good voice to have on your page. They can say in one picture frame what it takes us to say 400 or 500 words.
They're dying off, but they will always be around. Somehow the problem is, how do you monetize it? People, unfortunately, the people who really run these newspapers, they see that as a very high expense. They don't see it the way I see it necessarily, which is it's a big part of your newspaper's brand. Like I told you, I think Chuck Acey is still a brand that people associate with the Gazette in Colorado Springs, one of the best known parts of the Colorado Springs Gazette.
I hate to see the editorial page become franchised. We've seen that with radio stations, we see it with TV stations, too much of the national feed, not enough of the local, but I think both you guys do a great job of getting those local issues out there that we need. And I want to thank you so much for saying that you will endorse the Healthcare Choice
Right.
Initiative.
I'm sure that's on tape, right?
That is on tape. I appreciate it. So
this
Dan,
is the
thank you.
endorsement right here.
I didn't hear a denial, and for me, that's an endorsement. Wayne, thank you. Dan, thank you. Thank you very much. Listen for me late nights on 850 KOA. Check us out at independenceinstitute.org. Tell a friend, and we'll see you next week.